Saturday marked 2 years since the deadly suicide bombing at the Kabul Airport during the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. The attack claiming the lives of hundreds of civilians and 13 heroic U.S. service members, including Norco's own Lance Corporal Kareem Nikoui. With more, I'm honored to be joined by Shanna Chappell, mother of Lance Corporal Kareem Nikoui. Mom, Shanna, thank you so much. And of course, we're so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. We just mentioned that over the weekend it marked 2 years. What did you do this weekend? I know you were very active this weekend to honor your most heroic son.
I actually competed in the 13 Souls Run that was put on by Jeff Von Molt. His son happened to be at Abbey Gate when the explosion happened, and like the rest of us, he had been waiting to hear from his son. And finally he did, and it crossed his mind that there was going to be 13 families that weren't going to hear from their son. So he decided to start the 13 Souls Run. So he did it for the 1 year mark, and he did it for the 2 year mark, and it was a very nice turnout.
And it's amazing to see you there at mile marker 9 with your son Kareem. And we should also note that these numbers get handed out randomly. Your bib number was 652, and that adds up to 13, the 13 souls lost. My goodness. What do you want people to know about your son and his everlasting legacy?
I want them to know that Kareem had an amazing heart. He was always so helpful to anyone who needed help, and he would help people who didn't even ask for help. He loved life. He lived it to the fullest, and his dream since he was a kid was to be a United States Marine, and he became a United States Marine.
And he was just 20 years old when he died. This, unfortunately, I mean, just being out there this weekend as a regular civilian and seeing that there was not a lot of coverage of the 2 year mark. There hasn't been. And that I'm sorry for. That's why I'm happy to be talking to you tonight. And we should also let our viewers know that you're dealing not just with that loss, but your oldest son, because he was so devastated about the loss of his younger brother, Kareem. He took his own life just before the 1 year mark.
Yeah, 3 weeks before.
Do you feel forgotten?
Completely. By the government, by this administration, I feel completely forgotten. They've done nothing to help me out in any way. They never reached out. I was by the President of the United States when I met with him face to face. He never even thanked me for my son's service. Didn't tell me he was sorry for my son, the loss of my son. Actually, he didn't even want to hear about my son. He kept wanting to talk about his son. So it was not a good face-to-face meeting.
The president put out a statement over the weekend on August 26th for the 2 year mark, offering their condolences. I know that does very little all these years later. What questions do you still have about the withdrawal and that tragic day?
I have a lot of questions. Some of them, one of them would be like, they had the person who was able to gather the information about the suicide bomber was able to give a complete description of him. So if this person was able to get that description, why didn't they take him out then? Why wasn't Tyler, the sniper, allowed to take out the bomber when he had him in his sights a few times? And each time he was denied that request. Why? Why, when you knew the bomber was in the vicinity, why wouldn't you close the gate? Why was it left open? So questions like that, and I look at the whole scenario, it leads me to believe that my son was set up for murder. I can't speak for how the other families feel. I can only speak for how I feel, and I feel like my son was set up for murder.
Shanna, you're so strong to be able to talk about this the way that you do with such passion. I think a lot of people watching, knowing that you've lost not one but two sons in less than a year, wonder how in the world you're able to just be here and be as you are. How are you coping?
I have my ups and downs. It still takes a toll on my health. There's times where I'm actually still stuck in bed for a couple days at a time, and then I think about my boys and what they would expect out of me, and I push forward. I mean, every day is actually a struggle. I miss my boys. My heart hurts 24/7. I just would give anything to have my boys back. they were young. They had their whole lives ahead of them. This should have never happened.
No, it shouldn't have. Okay. Well, again, I'm honored to talk to you. I thank you for your service and for Kareem's service so much. Shayna Chappell, thank you for being with me tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.